Hi, third grade. It's me, Miss Belts, and we're going to work on math some more. So let's get started. Today we are going to round to the nearest 10 or 100 using compatible numbers to estimate solutions to addition and subtraction problems. So last week, if you remember, we worked on just rounding. This week we're going to use rounding to help us with estimation. How are we going to do that? We're going to review vocabulary. We're going to represent word problems with a strip diagram. We're going to write an equation to represent the problem, and then we're going to estimate. Why are we going to do this? Well, it's important for us to be able to estimate a solution to check if our answer is reasonable or not. Our important vocabulary that we're going to talk about today is rounding, which we talked about last week. And remember, when we round, we're finding a number that is close to the original number by changing it to the closest multiple of 10, 100, 1000, whatever the problem's asking us to do. The next word is estimate. And an estimate, when we estimate, is a reasonable guess that is close to the right answer. And then the last one is compatible numbers. When we use compatible numbers, we use numbers that are close to the original value and make a problem easier to solve mentally. So for this example, they had 102, they rounded that to 100, and 28, and instead of rounding that to 30, they made it go to 25. And the reason they did that is if you think about money, 100 minus 25, I know that I have 75 left, so that the difference is close to 75. So here is what we're going to do today. Today we are going to look at a couple of questions. We are going to go through our problem solving process. We are going to make sure we have our strip diagram, our equation, and then our estimate. Sometimes when we do our problem solving process, we only have to do certain parts. So sometimes the question just wants us to stop at the strip diagram. Sometimes it wants us to stop at the estimate. Sometimes it wants us to stop at the equation, and sometimes it wants us to solve the whole way through. So let's see what this question's asking us to do. It says, Audra studied 394 minutes in March and 243 minutes in April. About how many minutes did Audra study in both months combined? So we're going to read this problem one more time. This time we're going to highlight the information that's important to us. So let's read it again. Audra studied 394 minutes in March and 243 minutes in April. About how many minutes did Audra study in both months combined? Well, I know that 394 minutes in March is important, and I know that 243 minutes in April is important. And my question says about, we're going to talk about that word in a minute, about how many minutes did Audra study in both months combined? This word about is a very important word. This is telling me it doesn't want to know exactly how many minutes she studied, but about. So we're going to estimate about how many minutes she studied. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to draw my strip diagram. So I want you to think about this. Am I going to be putting these two numbers together, or am I going to be taking them apart? If you said I'm going to put them together, you're correct. I know my two parts. I know that 394 minutes was March and 243 minutes was April. I am looking to find out how many minutes she had for both months combined. So after I've drawn my strip diagram, the next thing I'm going to do is my equation. So I'm going to show my equation exactly with what my strip diagram is telling me. I'm going to put these two together and it's going to give me this total. So 394 plus 243 equals, I don't know, that's what we got to figure out. So now we're going to figure out our estimate. So think about last week. Last week when we were working on rounding, we used our number line to help us. So we have to start with our first number of 394. The first thing I'm going to do is decide which are my two numbers on either side. So I have 300 and I have 400. I'm choosing to round to the nearest 100 because both of these numbers are in the hundreds place. After I have decided which my two benchmarks, I'm going to plot where 394 goes. Where do you think it's going to go? If you said it was going to go over here, you are correct. So I'm then going to draw my lines. So 300 to 394, 394 to 400. I know, because my line is shorter, that I'm going to go to 400 because that means it's closer. So 394 is close to 400. So that means that 394 rounds to 400. So I'm going to put that 400 over here, right here, where it has the 394, just to help me remember that I said it was going to go to 400. Now I'm going to do the same exact thing with my 243. So I have 243. The first thing I'm going to decide is what are my two benchmark numbers. Again, I'm going to the nearest 100 because both of my numbers were in the hundredths place. So I have 200 on this side and 300 on this side. Think about the number 243. Where is it going to go? If you said it's going to go somewhere around here, you are correct. Now remember, I'm going to draw my lines from 200 to 243 and 243 to 300. When I do that, I'm going to look at my lines. Well, which line is shorter? If you said the yellow line was shorter, you are correct. So I know that 243 is close to 300. Oh, I did the wrong number. Is close to 200. Okay, I'm sorry about that. I had the wrong information. So I know that 200 to 243, 243 to 300, I know that my yellow line is the shorter line, so that means that 243 is close to 200. So that means 243 rounds to 200. So again, I'm going to put the 200 up here just to help me remember what problem I'm working on. Now you can see that I am working on 400 minutes plus 200 minutes is going to give me about how many minutes she did. So now from here, I can either use base 10 blocks, I can use a number line, or maybe you just know, or you could use expanded form also. And I'm going to add 400 plus 200. Well, when I add 400 plus 200, I get 600. So I know that she read about 600 minutes combined in both months. Now, usually at this point, I would go to my solve, but my question's not asking me to solve. My question was wanting to know of the estimate, so I get to stop here. So let's try another one. Here's my second example. This says that Leo rides his bike for 47 minutes on Tuesday and 32 minutes on Wednesday. About how many more minutes did Leo ride his bike on Tuesday than Wednesday? So let's look at the problem one more time and let's actually highlight important information. So let's read it again. Leo rides his bike for 47 minutes on Tuesday and 32 minutes on Wednesday. About how many more minutes did Leo ride his bike on Tuesday than Wednesday? Well, I know that it's important for me to know he has 47 minutes on Tuesday, he has 32 minutes on Wednesday, and about, there's that word again, how many more minutes did Leo ride his bike on Tuesday than Wednesday? Well, this problem is an interesting one because I'm comparing Tuesday and Wednesday. So I'm going to see what the difference between Tuesday and Wednesday is. And remember that word about means that I'm going to estimate. So the first thing I'm going to do with my problem solving process is I'm actually going to draw my strip diagram. So here's what that would look like. I know that Tuesday was 47 minutes long. I know that Wednesday was 32 minutes long. I want to know about how many more minutes he rode on Tuesday than Wednesday. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do my equation. So I'm going to subtract 47 from 32 to figure out that answer. So again, I'm going to use my number lines to help me with my rounding so that I'm able to estimate. So the first thing I have is 47, and you'll notice that 47 is only up to the tens place, so I'm going to round to the tens place. So I have 40 and I have 50, and I'm going to plot where 47 goes. Well, 47 is going to go somewhere around here. Then I'm going to draw my lines from 40 to 47 and 47 to 50, and I'm going to see which one is shorter. Well, which line is shorter, the yellow or the green line? If you said the green line is shorter, you're correct. So that means that 47 is close to 50. So that also means that 47 rounds to 50. So again, I'm going to write that up here to help me remember 47 is close to 50. Now I'm going to do the same thing with the number 32. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to decide what my benchmark numbers are. So I'm going to go 30 on this side and 40 on this side. Then I'm going to plot my number, and I know 32 is going to go somewhere around here. Then I'm going to draw a line from 30 to 32 and 32 to 40. Which line is shorter, the yellow line or the green line? If you said the yellow line, you are correct. The yellow line is shorter, so that means that 32 is close to 30, so 32 rounds to 30. Again, I'm going to put my 30 up here just to help me with my sentence. So now I know I'm looking for 50 minus 30 equals something. So when I subtract 50 minus 30, and remember I can use expanded form, base 10, number lines, maybe you just know, whatever works for you, that's fine. I'm going to do 50 minus 30, and when I do, I know that it's about 20 more minutes on Tuesday than it was on Wednesday. And again, I get to stop there. I don't have to solve because my question was asking me about the estimation, and I knew that because of this word about. So let's review what we talked about today. Today we talked about rounding to the nearest 10 or 100 using compatible numbers to use estimation to estimate solutions to add and subtract. We reviewed important vocabulary. We represented word problems with a strip diagram. We wrote an equation to represent the problem, and then we actually estimated. And we did that because it's important to estimate a solution to see if our answer is reasonable or not. Now it's going to be your turn. You are going to have a paper. There are two problems, one's on the front and one's on the back. You are going to use the problem-solving model to represent and solve word problems. Make sure that you read the problem, that you draw a strip diagram, you write the equation, and that you estimate. I'm going to be looking at all of your amazing work. I know you're going to do an amazing job. If you have any questions, please ask your teacher. I'll see you next week. Bye.